Ethan Blake posted a status on social media, "I really wish I could celebrate Children's Day." But then he looked down at himself. 6'1", broad shoulders, six-pack abs. Yeah, there was no way he could still qualify as a kid. I saw his post and immediately sent him a message. "Where are you? Show me your six-pack." A second later, I was blocked. Again. People say that when a woman chases after a man, it's like crossing a thin layer of silk. But for me, it was like trying to break through bulletproof glass. I had been chasing after Ethan Blake for a year and a half, blocked 32 times. Was I embarrassed? No. Was I giving up? Absolutely not. If he thought blocking me on social media was enough to stop me, then clearly he underestimated my persistence. That same evening, I showed up outside his college dorm, holding a bag in my hand. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the campus. A few students walked by, giving me curious glances, but I didn't care. I had one goal. After waiting for a few minutes, Ethan finally stepped out of the dorm building, wearing flip-flops, sweatpants, and a black hoodie. His dark hair was slightly tousled, as if he had just woken up from a nap. When he spotted me standing there, his expression instantly darkened. "What is it this time?" he asked, voice low and uninterested. I grinned and held up the bag. "It's Children's Day. I brought a gift for you, my dear ancestor." Ethan glanced at the bag, unimpressed. "You use a different excuse every time just to get me to talk to you." Still, he reached out and took the bag, opening it with a mix of suspicion and reluctant curiosity. Inside, I had carefully picked out his least favorite snacks. He pulled out a bag of gummy bears and scoffed. "Eat too much of these and I'll get cavities." Then he took out a pack of spicy chips and gave me a bored look. "This stuff messes with your stomach." Finally, he found a mystery snack, some strange imported candy that I had thrown in last minute just for fun. "Are you trying to poison me?" he deadpanned. I gasped dramatically and clutched my chest. "How could you say that? This is a gift from my heart." Ethan closed the bag and held it out of my reach. "Then why do I feel like you're pranking me?" I pouted and reached to take it back, but Ethan casually lifted his arm higher, dodging me with annoying ease. Because of that, I lost my balance and bam! My face smacked right into his shoulder. I froze. His t-shirt was soft and he smelled fresh, like laundry detergent mixed with a hint of cologne. Crap. My mascara. The summer heat had melted it a little, and now there was a high chance I had left a smudge on his white shirt. I quickly pulled back, but Ethan didn't seem to notice. Instead, he looked down at me with a raised eyebrow, smirking. "You okay? Need help standing?" I straightened up and glared at him. "I'm fine. And also, give me back my gift." Ethan held the bag tighter against his chest, a smug expression on his face. "Too late. It's mine now." At that moment, a brilliant idea popped into my mind. I looked him straight in the eye and said dramatically, "I've given you my heart for so long. Why won't you accept that too?" For the first time, Ethan didn't immediately have a comeback. He paused, looking slightly caught off guard. His lips parted, as if he wanted to say something, but then he quickly shut his mouth. The silence lasted 3 seconds. Then, as if deciding to completely ignore what I had just said, he casually reached into his hoodie pocket and pulled out a lottery ticket. "Go cash this in for me," he said, handing it over. "I won $500. I blinked. $500. Without hesitation, I snatched the ticket from his hand. "Wait, you actually won?" "Obviously. Are you going to share?" I asked hopefully. Ethan gave me a blank stare before turning away. "Not a chance." Figures. As I carefully tucked the lottery ticket into the back of my phone case, Ethan suddenly added, "Oh, and while you're at it, pick up my package from the mailroom. Just hold on to it for now. I'll come by later." I narrowed my eyes. "What did you buy? Want me to bring it to your room?" Ethan simply gave me a lazy look, his usual unbothered expression returning. "Doesn't concern you." "Fine. Be mysterious. See if I care." Before I could say anything else, Ethan turned and walked back into the dorm, leaving me standing there with his lottery ticket and another unpaid errand. I sighed dramatically as I watched his retreating figure. Even when he completely ignored me, he still managed to look annoyingly handsome. $500. $500. That was enough for a week's worth of iced coffee, a few extra late-night snacks, and maybe a cute new dress. For a moment, I considered running off to spend it myself, but then I remembered I still wanted Ethan to like me, and stealing his lottery money probably wasn't the best strategy. So, like the responsible, trustworthy person I was, I headed straight to the convenience store to cash in the ticket. After successfully collecting the $500, which I stared at longingly for at least 5 minutes before shoving it into an envelope for Ethan, I headed toward the campus mailroom to pick up his package. As I walked in, the guy behind the counter barely looked up before handing me a small, rectangular box wrapped in brown tape. Suspicious. Not a single label, no brand name, nothing. Curiosity burned inside me. What could Ethan possibly be ordering? Something boring like textbooks? Unlikely. Workout supplements? Possible. A secret love letter from another girl? Over my dead body. I ran my fingers along the edge of the package, debating whether a tiny peek would really be considered a crime. Just as I was about to gently shake the box, "Are you stealing my package now?" I jumped and spun around. Ethan stood a few feet away, hands in his hoodie pocket, watching me with his usual unimpressed expression. "I was not stealing it," I huffed, hugging the box to my chest like a protective mother. I was making sure it wasn't, a bomb or something. Safety first. Ethan sighed and ran a hand through his hair. "Hand it over." I gripped it tighter. "Wait, what is it? Tell me first." He just looked at me, bored as ever. Secret. Typical. Grumbling under my breath about how annoying some people could be, I reluctantly handed him the package. But because the universe liked to embarrass me at every possible opportunity, I miscalculated the distance, accidentally bumping into his shoulder. Again. And once again I froze. His t-shirt was soft. He smelled nice. My heart jumped in the worst, most cliché way possible. But more importantly, my mascara. My cursed, melting mascara. I had definitely left a stain on his pristine white shirt. Abort mission. Abort mission. I quickly stepped back, schooling my expression into one of perfect innocence. Ethan, completely unaware of the cosmetic crime scene on his shoulder, simply tucked the package under his arm and looked at me expectantly. "What?" I asked, forcing a casual smile. "The money?" "Oh, right." With trembling fingers, totally not because I was panicking, I pulled the envelope from my bag and handed it over. $500 all there, I said, proud of my honesty. "Though, a finder's fee wouldn't hurt." "No. What about a dinner treat? I did all this for you." "No. A single French fry." Ethan blinked at me. "Go home, Emma." As he turned to leave, I hurriedly walked beside him. "So what's in the package? Be honest. Is it something illegal? Are you secretly running an underground business? Go home, Emma." "Is it a gift for someone?" I gasped dramatically. "Oh my God. Ethan, are you in love? Is there a secret girl?" That actually got a reaction. For the first time in forever, Ethan paused mid-step. His jaw tensed slightly, and he glanced at me, expression unreadable. Then, just as quickly, his gaze turned cold again. "None of your business." And before I could press him further, he turned and walked away. I sighed dramatically, watching his retreating figure. Fine. If he wanted to keep secrets, so be it. But this was far from over. Because if Ethan Blake thought he could shake me off this easily, he was absolutely 100% wrong. The world is unfair. Some people win the genetic lottery with flawless skin, long legs, and effortless beauty. Others, like me, have to rely on personality and sheer determination to get noticed. And apparently, there was a new perfect specimen in town. I heard it from my friend Lily first. "Did you hear?" she whispered, leaning closer over our iced coffees. "A girl from another university confessed to Ethan yesterday." My grip on my straw tightened. "Ha! Who cares?" "You." Lily gave me a knowing look. "Wrong. I don't care at all. That's why you just crushed your straw in half. I looked down. Damn it. So what if a mystery girl had confessed to Ethan? It wasn't like he was dating her. Or at least, that's what I told myself as I casually wandered across campus, totally not looking for Ethan. And then, I saw her. She was standing next to Ethan near the library entrance. Tall, pretty, long silky hair, wearing a flowy white dress, like she had just stepped out of a romantic drama. And Ethan was actually talking to her, not ignoring, not walking away, not blocking her on social media like he did to me. They looked like a scene from a movie with the sunlight filtering through the trees, casting a golden glow over them. I wanted to puke, but I was mature, graceful, a lady of class, so obviously I didn't run over there screaming. Instead, I took a deep breath, put on my best indifferent face, and strolled past them like I was just happening to pass by. Totally coincidental. Ethan saw me immediately. Of course he did. And because the universe hates me, he smirked. Coincidence again? I forced a smile, pretending to check my nails. Oh, you're here? Didn't even notice. Lies, I noticed everything. Mystery girl turned slightly, giving me a polite nod before turning back to Ethan. Ethan's eyes did not leave me. I held my ground, half ignoring the way my heart twisted in my chest. Anyway, I said breezily, I have better things to do than hang around here. You two enjoy your little chat. And then, because I refused to let my emotions show, I walked away as casually as possible. Not too fast, not too slow, just the right pace to scream, I don't care at all. Spoiler, I cared. The moment I turned the corner, I slumped against the nearest wall and let out a dramatic, silent scream. Who was she? What were they talking about? Had Ethan smiled at her? I shook my head. No, impossible. Ethan doesn't smile. He smirks. He scoffs. He looks unimpressed 99.9% of the time. But smiling? If he had smiled at her, I might actually die. Taking a deep breath, I pulled out my phone and did what any sane, logical person would do. I texted Lily. Emergency. Need intel. Who is she? Because if Ethan Blake thought I was giving up now, he was sorely mistaken. The weather was as miserable as my mood. Rain pelted against the library windows, the occasional rumble of thunder rolling through the sky. The whole campus looked drenched and gloomy, which was a perfect match for how I felt ever since witnessing the scene yesterday. Yes, I was still thinking about it. No, I had not moved on. And yes, I may or may not have been avoiding Ethan all day. Until now. I had only come to the library to grab a book, nothing else. It was pure coincidence, real, actual coincidence this time, that I spotted Ethan sitting alone at a table near the back. His hoodie was pulled over his head, his arms rested on the table, and he looked tired. Not as usual, I'm bored of everything kind of tired. Actual tired, dark circles under his eyes, a crease between his brows. His usual sharp gaze, dull and unfocused as he stared at an open textbook. I hesitated. I could just leave. Or I could do something stupid, which, obviously, meant I did something stupid. I silently approached his table and placed a can of iced coffee in front of him. Ethan's gaze flickered toward the can, then up at me. I braced myself for an instant rejection. A sarcastic remark. A flat-out dismissal. Instead, he picked up the can, opened it, and took a sip. I blinked. No complaints? I asked cautiously. Ethan exhaled, shaking his head slightly. Too tired to argue. That was when I knew something was really wrong. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The sound of rain tapping against the window filled the silence. Ethan rubbed his temple, staring at his textbook like it had personally offended him. Then, finally, he sighed. Why haven't you given up yet? His voice was quieter than usual, lacking its usual sharpness. I should have expected the question. He'd asked me before. But this time it felt different. I smiled softly. Because you haven't really pushed me away. Ethan didn't reply, but he didn't deny it either, and for now that was enough. The day after my library moment of victory, I walked onto campus feeling strangely optimistic. Ethan hadn't pushed me away. He hadn't mocked me. He hadn't even rolled his eyes when I gave him coffee. That was progress, right? I was practically floating with confidence until Lily practically tackled me outside the student lounge. Emergency. She shoved her phone in my face. I squinted at the screen, and then, oh no. There, on the campus forum, was a clear, well-lit, and absolutely unnecessary photo of me and Ethan sitting together in the library. The caption, "Desperate fangirl strikes again." What? I scrolled down in horror, reading through the flood of comments. Can't she take a hint? He's clearly not into her. She's been chasing him for like years. Secondhand embarrassment, man. Ethan Blake, sitting in a library with a girl? Did hell freeze over? Maybe she bribed him with food. That's the only logical explanation. I gasped dramatically and grabbed Lily's shoulders. I cannot believe this. Why does everyone just assume he hates me? Lily looked at me flatly. Emma, I sighed. Fine. Maybe he dislikes me a little. By lunchtime, the rumors had spread like wildfire. Even people who never spoke to me before suddenly had opinions about my love life. Emma, one of my classmates, started cautiously, "You know Ethan isn't really, the relationship type, right?" "You should move on," another girl added, looking at me with genuine concern. "You deserve someone who actually likes you." Even my lab partner, a guy who barely remembered my name, muttered, "Damn, that's rough." I smiled politely, nodded at all the right moments. But in my head, I had already made my decision. Unless Ethan personally told me to give up, I wasn't going anywhere. That afternoon, I spotted Ethan leaning against a vending machine, scrolling through his phone. He definitely knew about the rumors by now. I approached casually, pretending I wasn't dying to know what he thought. "Hey," he didn't even look up. "You're famous now." "Ugh, don't remind me." I crossed my arms. "Aren't you going to say something? Like defend your honor?" Ethan finally glanced at me, his expression unreadable. "Why? Does it bother you?" I hesitated. Did it? I mean, sure, being labeled desperate wasn't exactly great for my reputation. But at the end of the day, I was still here, still standing next to him, still not giving up. So I just shrugged. Nope, people can think whatever they want. Ethan studied me for a moment. Then, to my utter frustration, he just smirked and walked away. Typical. The thing about rumors, they never die. Even after a week, people were still talking about me and Ethan, and not in a wow, they'd make a cute couple way. More like, why is she still trying and Ethan must be so annoyed? Which was fine. Totally fine. Until some girls decided to take it a little too far. It happened right before my morning class. I had left my sneakers outside the gym locker room while I changed for PE. And when I came back, soaked. Not a little damp, not a few drops of water. Absolutely. Drenched. Like someone had poured an entire bottle of water into each shoe for fun. Which, judging by the giggles coming from the other side of the lockers, was exactly what had happened. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, reminded myself I was a mature, forgiving person. Then I stormed over to the sink, grabbing a handful of paper towels to try and salvage my dignity. That's when I heard his voice. "Who did this?" I froze, turned around, and there he was. Ethan Blake. Standing there with his arms crossed, his usual bored expression replaced with something colder. His eyes flicked from my dripping sneakers to the group of girls, not so secretly watching from the side. The second they realized he was looking at them, they scattered like cockroaches in the light. Interesting. I blinked at Ethan. "You didn't have to do that." He didn't respond, just stared at my soaked socks like they personally offended him. Then, without a word, he reached into his gym bag, pulled something out, and threw a pair of flip-flops at me. I barely caught them before they hit the ground. "Put 'em on," he muttered. "Don't catch a cold." My brain short-circuited. Ethan Blake just gave me his flip-flops to wear. Me. I looked down at them, then back at him, then back at them. What was happening? I swallowed. "Are you worried about me?" Ethan scoffed, looking away like the idea was ridiculous. "No, I just don't want you walking around like a soggy idiot." Rude. And yet, my heart would not stop racing. I slowly slid my feet into his flip-flops, which were way too big for me, but somehow the most comfortable thing I had ever worn in my life. "Thanks," I mumbled, suddenly feeling weirdly shy. Ethan just grunted in response before turning to leave. I watched him go, my heartbeat completely out of control. Oh no, I was in so much trouble. Lately, something weird had been happening. Ethan Blake, the same Ethan who avoided me, blocked me, and acted like I was a mosquito buzzing around his life, was suddenly everywhere. At first, I thought it was just my imagination, but no. Everywhere I went, he was there. Library, he'd suddenly decide to study at the same time as me. Cafeteria, he just happened to be grabbing food right when I walked in. Even the student lounge, where he never hung out, he was just there, lounging on the couch like he owned the place. And every time I caught him watching me, he'd look away like it was pure coincidence. Suspicious, very suspicious. But being the mature and intelligent person I was, I decided to test this new behavior by pretending not to notice. That plan lasted exactly 3 days. Because on day 4, Ryan Carter, a friendly, slightly awkward guy from my econ class, confessed to me. I didn't even see it coming. One minute, we were discussing supply and demand, and the next, he shoved a folded piece of paper into my hands. "I like you," he blurted out, turning bright red. "If you don't feel the same way, that's totally fine. You don't have to say anything. Yeah. Okay, bye." And then he sprinted away, leaving me standing there, blinking at the letter like an idiot. Lily lost her mind when I told her. "Oh my God, what did you say?" "Nothing." He ran before I could respond. "Did you open the letter?" "No." "Emma." I sighed and unfolded it. It was short, simple, sweet. Ryan actually liked me. Did I like him back? Not really. But just as a fun little experiment, I decided to accept the letter anyway and see what would happen. At first, nothing happened. Ethan didn't say a single word about it. But then, a few hours later, I caught him glancing at the letter on my desk. His jaw tightened slightly. Then the next day I heard from Lily that he asked someone about Ryan. And later that evening, when he walked past me, he muttered under his breath, "Shh, Carter? Seriously? Oh ho, interesting." The final confirmation came when Ryan and I were casually chatting after class. We weren't even talking about anything romantic, just complaining about midterms. But out of nowhere, a hand grabbed my wrist. I turned, startled, only to see Ethan standing way too close. His voice was low and unreadable. "Do you like him?" Ryan, completely oblivious, kept talking about his econ project. I, however, was not oblivious. Ethan was jealous, so obviously I had to mess with him. I tilted my head, smirking slightly. "What if I do?" Ethan's expression didn't change, but he was silent for a long time. Then, finally, he just turned and walked away, leaving me standing there, completely confused. Well, now we're getting somewhere. It happened on a Monday morning, the worst kind of morning. I was already half asleep, dragging myself to class when I heard it. "Did you hear? Ethan Blake's girlfriend finally showed up." I stopped walking. Girlfriend? I wasn't going to investigate. Nope, I was mature, composed, and completely unbothered. So obviously, I immediately went looking for him. And that's when I saw her. She was standing next to Ethan, looking effortlessly gorgeous with long dark hair and a designer purse slung over her shoulder. And worse, she was holding his arm. His arm. My brain short-circuited. Ethan wasn't pushing her away. He wasn't scowling or looking bored out of his mind like he usually did when girls clung to him. He was just standing there, like it was normal. Like she belonged there, and that's when she said it. "I missed you, babe." Babe. I felt sick. I wasn't stupid. I knew when a battle was lost. So I did the only thing I could do. I stopped. Stopped showing up where he was. Stopped trying to talk to him. Stopped caring. And surprisingly, it was easy. Sort of. Okay, not at all. But at least I was doing something different for once. A week passed. For the first time in forever, I didn't hear his voice, didn't see him in the library, didn't accidentally bump into him outside the cafeteria. I had successfully erased myself from his life. Or so I thought. Because one evening, as I was walking across campus, I suddenly heard someone calling my name. Emma. I turned, and there he was, Ethan Blake, looking annoyed, looking frustrated, looking like someone who had just realized something was missing. You've been avoiding me. I crossed my arms. No, I haven't. His eyes narrowed. You disappeared. I let out a cold laugh. Ethan, there's nothing between us anymore. A beat of silence. Then he grabbed my wrist. I sucked in a breath. His grip was firm, but not rough, his voice low and serious. Do you really believe that I did? Didn't I? I had successfully avoided Ethan Blake for exactly 10 days, and in those 10 days, I had almost convinced myself that I didn't care anymore. Almost. Then Lily ruined everything. So funny story, she said casually over lunch, scrolling through her phone. Not in the mood, Lily. I stabbed my salad aggressively. Oh, I think you'll want to hear this one. She turned her screen toward me, and there on her Instagram feed was a picture of the mystery girl, tagged as Ethan Blake's cousin. My fork clattered onto the table. What? Yup, Lily said, biting into her sandwich. Apparently she's been studying over yards, just came back, super close with Ethan, blah, blah, blah. But I wasn't listening anymore because I had just made a complete idiot of myself, avoiding him, ignoring him, giving up, all because I thought he had a girlfriend when in reality she was just family. I was going to throw myself into a dumpster. Before I could figure out what to do, Ethan found me. It was almost poetic, me standing outside the library debating whether I should apologize first or just flee the country, when suddenly, Emma. I turned. And there he was, looking annoyed, looking determined, looking like someone who was done with my nonsense. You've been avoiding me, he said, stepping closer. I crossed my arms, forcing indifference. Have I? Ethan sighed, rubbing a hand over his face. We need to talk. It wasn't a long conversation, just one sentence. She's my cousin, Emma. I stared at him. He stared back. My brain short-circuited. A long, painful pause stretched between us before I managed to say, Oh. Ethan let out a slow breath, his frustration visible. Oh, that's all you have to say? Well, what else was I supposed to say? Oops, my bad for acting like a dramatic idiot and avoiding you for 10 days. I did the only thing I could do, tried to play it cool. It's whatever, I mumbled. Doesn't matter now. Ethan stepped closer, his voice suddenly quieter. It matters to me. I froze, because for the first time ever, Ethan Blake was looking directly at me, not with amusement, not with boredom, but with something else entirely. Emma, he said seriously, I never liked anyone else but you. I forgot how to breathe. That was not what I expected. My brain screamed, What? My heart did a backflip, but on the outside, I forced myself to look unimpressed. Bold of you to assume I even care. Ethan tilted his head slightly, studying me. Then he softly added, If you truly don't like me, just say it and I'll leave. My stomach dropped. Because now he was giving me an out, a chance to walk away. All I had to do was lie. Just say it. I hesitated. Ethan noticed, and in that moment I knew. I was screwed. So, this was happening. Ethan Blake, the same Ethan who had spent a year and a half avoiding me, blocking me, ignoring me, pretending I didn't exist, was now standing in front of me, confessing, like it was the easiest thing in the world, like he hadn't just wrecked my entire mental state with one single sentence. I never liked anyone else but you. Those words kept replaying in my head like a broken record. And now he was looking at me, waiting for an answer. Which would have been fine, totally fine. If my brain was actually working, I should have said something right away. Instead, I just stood there, like an idiot. And Ethan, he just waited, calm, unbothered, like he hadn't just dropped a bomb on my entire existence. I tried to play it cool. Wow, took you long enough? Ethan raised an eyebrow. Are you saying you already knew? No, but was I about to admit that? Absolutely not, I shrugged. I had a feeling. Ethan narrowed his eyes like he didn't quite believe me. Smart man. A breeze swept through the autumn leaves, scattering them across the campus walkway. The air was crisp, carrying the faint scent of coffee from the nearby cafe. It would have been a beautiful cinematic moment if my entire soul wasn't currently malfunctioning. Ethan took a slow breath. Then, finally, "I don't want to run away anymore," I stilled. "Let's try dating." The words were simple, direct, unapologetic. And just like that, the chase was over. I had won. Or had I? I crossed my arms, pretending to think. "So," I mused, "if we start dating now, does that mean you're the one chasing me?" Ethan's lips curled into a slow smirk. "This time," he said, "I'm chasing you." My heart jumped into my throat. I wanted to say something witty, to keep playing it cool, but for once, I had nothing, because Ethan Blake had just flipped the game completely, and honestly, I didn't mind. The wind rustled through the trees, golden leaves swirling around us. The entire world seemed to slow down just for a moment. Then Ethan reached out, gently, casually, like it was the most natural thing in the world, and he took my hand. No teasing, no sarcasm, just him and me. And maybe, just maybe, this was how it was meant to be all along.